In this documentary, I will be talking to street performers about why they come to Chester for street performing, and other thoughts about Chester on a whole to do with its long-time relationship with street performers. First, I met Claire Wall, one of today's biggest street performers in Chester. As you can see here, she is getting ready to gather a crowd before setting up her show. What's your name?
My name's Claire Wall.
Where are you from exactly?
I'm from London originally, and now I live in Chirk.
What exactly is your show?
My show is, I do different things. I started out as a Charlie Chaplin impersonator, and I built on that, developed different acts, song and dance acts. I've got my 1920s act, which is what I'm dressed as today, and Mary Poppins, and a whole range. So.
How long have you been doing said shows?
I've been doing street performance since October the year before last, so that's sort of a year and a few months. So
yeah. What is it that you enjoy most about doing these shows?
I really like interacting with the public and the whole improvisatory aspect of it, and taking the stage into the street and sort of breaking down those boundaries between an audience sitting in an auditorium, you know, people wandering past, so that you can just really interact and engage with everybody. Yeah.
Next, I met David Southern, a long-time entertainer and legendary street performer. David is on the right with fellow street performer John Feely performing in Chester in 2006.
Shots in if you want as well.
Whereabouts are you from?
I'm from South Wales, but I live in Chester.
What exactly is your show?
There's a number of things I do, but what I do most is I'm a unicyclist, a juggler. So, and I'm funny, and I talk, I get a big crowd, I eventually ride a unicycle, and then I juggle. But the show is more about the banter and the interaction and audience participation.
How long have you been doing street shows?
So long, I can't remember.
How many of them have been in Chester?
How many of them have been in Chester?
Well, how long have you been doing shows
Okay,
specifically
I've been
in
doing
Chester?
street shows in Chester since 1987. Horse and carts through here. No. 1987 was my first street show in Chester. I was living in Liverpool and then going out with a girl in Chester, and came over here and went, oh, that's a nice town centre. And one weekend I didn't have any work on, so I thought, right, I'll try street shows. And I've more or less been working here ever since, and other places.
What is it that you enjoy most about doing street shows? What is it that attracted you to it?
I like the independence. As a performer, very often as an artist, you end up, to use a metaphor, of dancing to somebody else's tune. So when you get booked to do a show, you as a performer can feel, okay, this location is great and let's do it here, but the booker doesn't want you there. They want you around the corner in a place that's not so great. And you've got a really good 20-minute show, but they want half an hour. Or you've got a really good half-an-hour show and they only want 20 minutes. And I found that all the time, restrictions were being put on me as an artist by somebody else because they had the money. And by doing street shows, what you do is you cut that out and you connect directly with an audience. And it's a really honest way of making a living, because when you're working as a performer, I'm self-centered, I'm egotistical. You know, I like to think that people like me, and you get that from an audience because you're stood there and you've got all these people like me. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here and they wouldn't have put money in my hand. So it's a really honest way to make a living, because if they don't enjoy it, they can walk away.
Where's your favourite place to do street shows? Is it Chester? Is that why you do it here the most?
Chester has grown into my favourite place of doing street shows. I mean, I've done street shows all over the world, and I've done some, you know, I look back and go, well, that was a fantastic show. Do you remember in that square in Amsterdam or the south of France, you know, Avignon Festival or Edinburgh? I've done some things that I'm really proud of. But Chester is a place that I will always come back to do shows. There's something about the whole environment of Chester, which is to do with its architecture, to do with the people, to do with the layout of the town centre. If you look at the people that walk around in Chester, this is one of the reasons why Chester's a great place to do street shows. If you look at people, they're ambling. Yeah, they're not carrying shopping bags. They're not out to spend money. If you try and work in a busy shopping street, people are like, get out of my way, I've got a list and I've got to do this. Whereas Chester, there's always a core group of people that are out to see the city, and they're leisure people that have got time to stop. The shoppers will stop, yeah, but the leisure people stop first, yeah, and those people are all over Chester because Chester has got so much to offer them, and they're the starting point of a crowd. But the other thing that is unique for street performers in Chester is where we are now, which is the Rose. The Rose gives you a balcony level, which means that if you work in the centre of the street and you pull your audience in so that people can still get past you, people will gather on the Rose and watch the show. So you literally double your crowd. And if you take in those people and you work to them and you make them laugh and you entertain them, at the end of the show, they will come down and pay you, yeah, which is twice as much audience, twice as much money.
How important do you think it is that we keep street shows in Chester?
City centres all over the country, and particularly Chester, constantly have this battle with out-of-town shopping centres. Cheshire Oaks, Stratford Centre. People get up in the morning and they'll go, oh, okay, we got friends up for the weekend, or what should we do? Should we go to Manchester? Should we go to Liverpool? Should we go, into North Wales? And they'll come to Chester because there's always something happening, yeah? Not just for street performers, but street performance is part of that. Good retailers know that happy shoppers spend more money. Yeah, people that are feeling good and having a good day, and they're looking at that thing and it's slightly more expensive than they wanted, or they hadn't planned to buy that. If they're having a good day, they're going to buy it, and that's how street performance and retail can work together. And good retailers know that. What seems to be happening at the moment in city centres is that street performers are getting kind of roped in with everything else that might be undesirable that happens in the town centre, to do with people living rough, to do with people begging, and that's always been its battle, is how you separate the art form from other things that happen in the street. Or people that are begging that can't actually play an instrument, that have an instrument and say they're busking, because begging is against the law, so you get moved on for that. So Chester, I think a whole culture of people, of enjoyment would be lost if people were not allowed to perform and entertain in the streets of Chester. And to be honest, people have been entertaining in the streets of Chester for thousands of years, longer than these shops have been here. And that goes the same for, well, most of the places in the world, really. I think we had artists in the street before we had shops.